Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on our first node and we're going to be getting some roles activated on it, and we're actually going to work on a VM on our first node, and we're going to install the active domain controllers on it role, and we're also going to install the DHCP role on it. So we're going to start with the active domain controller on our first node on our VM. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump over to our workstation right away and log on to our first node and start doing all this stuff. And in the next video we'll actually work on the second node, doing the replication stuff. So let's jump in there right away here and head over to our workstation. Alright guys, so here we are at the computer, and we're going to open our remote desktop manager, and we're going to log into our first computer, which is right here. So our first node looks like this, and first things first, we're going to go to Hyper-V and open Hyper-V Manager, because this is where we're going to be installing our first DC. So it's already started. I'm going to turn this off. Turn off. Okay, so a couple things that I want to do here before we launch this DC is I want to go to settings, and I want to upgrade this processor. There's only one processor, and I'm going to turn it up to 4 for now. And that's just for now. I will be turning it down later. So it's just to get this stuff installed. So that, and I think there's something else. Oh yeah, the network adapter here that we didn't set up. We need to set that up and set it up to external right there. And one more thing, the automatic start option here, we need to make sure that this virtual machine always starts automatically. So hit that one and hit apply. So then this virtual machine will always start automatically, and that's very important because this is our domain controller and our DHCP server. So okay, so we're gonna start it. And then we're gonna open it up here, and we're gonna hit the key. Oh, I didn't hit it fast enough. Turn it off. Okay, turn it on. Start. Hit the key. All right. Load up Windows Server on our first DC. Get it installed, and I want this Canada stuff. Canada, next, install, and we'll have a 50 gig hard drive. I'll get that installed right away here. Okay, I don't have a product key. Install the data center. Next, accept next, custom 50 gigs. Yes, that's the one. That's the only one. Next. And it's copying the files. This won't take too long. Alright, so our VM is finally done installing Windows Server, so we're going to go ahead and do the initial setup. So set up our password. The VM will boot up. Alright, let's log into our VM. Alright, the VM is starting up. And then we'll just change a few settings on this VM and we'll restart it. It should boot up here right away. Alright. This first time booting ever too, so I'm gonna maximize this. Yay for server manager. Alright, so this, I'm going to click this check mark here so this doesn't come out anymore because I don't need to know about this. And we're going to configure this local computer right off the bat, change the computer name, and this is going to be called DC01. DC01, that will be the new computer name. It's going to ask to restart, but I'm not going to restart it right this second because I'm going to change a couple other things. I want to enable the remote desktop here, so allow that. I'm going to untick that, apply. Okay, I'm going to change the time zone to my time zone. Okay, and last thing is I'm going to change the IP here, the IP that it got. So we're going to click on here and right click on here, go to properties, and go to the Internet Protocol version 4, and we're going to give it a static IP. And what I like to give my DC static IP, I like to give it this one. Whoops, 192.168.1.30 is what I like to give it. The subnet mask will come up by itself, and the gateway is 192.168.1.1. that is my gateway, and we've looked for the gateway before, so you know how to do that. And for preferred DNS server, we'll give it its own address, which is the 192.168.1.30. Whoops. That will be the preferred DNS address because it will be giving out DNS. Alright, so we're going to hit OK, and we're going to hit close. And now it says that it doesn't have internet access, and that's normal for now. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit manage and add roles and features. Oh no, I want to restart this this computer actually first. So we're going to restart this VM first. So I'm going to close this and hit shutdown. And start it over. Alright, whoops. Alright, let's log on to our machine here and let's send a now control delete here so we can log on. And this is our DC that we're logging on to, our domain controller. And we're gonna actually go ahead and install the domain controller role right now. Okay, so if we go back to configure the server, we should have our new name as DC01. DC01, perfect. So we'll go to manage and add roles and features. Oops, a little too fast. Manage. Add roles and features. No, we gotta wait for this bar to stop going across. Oh, there we go. No, I guess you don't have to. Anyways, next, we're going to select the DC01. That's the only one available right now anyways. And nothing in here. Next, oh no, sorry. Active domain services right there, so that's the one that we need right there. Add features. Next. We don't need anything out of here. Next. Restart the destination server if required. Okay, hit yes and install. So this is gonna install the active domain controller feature. So this won't take too long, but once this is done, we will activate the domain controller feature on the server, which will install DNS, and that will actually take a little while to do. So I'm gonna pause it for now and come right back. Okay, so our domain controller is now done installing, so we're gonna go ahead and promote this server to a domain controller, and we're gonna wait for this to finish loading here, and we're gonna be clicking on this add new forest button here, where we will be adding a new forest, and I am going to call my forest home.com. So as soon as this is done here, oh, there we go, home.com, and I'm gonna hit next, and we're gonna be creating a new forest and root domain, function level, Windows Server 2016. That is good. Make sure that you type in the password here that you will remember forever, because you might need this password. So there we go. We're gonna hit next, DNS option. Don't hit anything here. Next, the net BIOS, so DC01 I think is gonna come up by itself, and that will do. And oh yes, home. Yes, home will be alright. Net BIOS domain name, yes. Alright, so hit next. The paths, yes, these are all good, all on their own. Hit next. Review, we don't need to review all this stuff, everything is good. Hit next. Prerequisites is going to do some checks. And yes. So this is almost done now, I'm doing the checks, and then the installation is going to start. And the installation is actually going to take a little while because it's going to install DNS as well. So this will take a little while, so I'm actually going to pause the video here again. Okay, now that our DC01 has restarted, we can go ahead and log in. And we will actually be logging into our domain this time. So here we go, logging in. Alright, so now that we're logged into our DC01, we can click on configure the server, and we can see that our DC01 is named DC01, and that home.com is our domain, and that our IP is right, .130. Make sure that all this stuff is right in here too. I've noticed that this actually changes on its own sometimes, so make sure that that is pointing to itself. So that's all that. So we're pretty much done installing the active domain directory services on our first VM here. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to install another role. So we're going to add another role in features, and next, and again on this dc.home.com, next, and we're going to want to install the DHCP server. So add features, next. Now, before we continue here, I want to tell you a little bit about the DHCP server. You already have a DHCP server running at your house. You probably on your router. That's probably where the server is residing. To make things easier with DNS and stuff, you probably want to have your DHCP residing within your Windows environment, where your DNS is being served from within the same VM, so that they can talk to each other easily and configure each other properly. Because if you serve DHCP, if you serve your IPs from your router, and DNS is actually coming from your Windows machine, you're gonna have little problems setting things up properly. So to make things simple, just let your IPs and your DNS and everything like that all being served from your Windows machine, which knows all the information that it needs to get all the stuff right. And so all you're gonna have to turn off DHCP in your router, and I use pfSense at my house for a router. So we're gonna have no problem turning this off, and I'm gonna show you guys that. But I just want to let you know that yeah, turning this off is or turning DHCP off on your router is kind of a big step. So make sure that you're ready, and make sure that you do the research and watch this video completely before you do this. So we're gonna continue here. Next, restart the server if needed. So yes, so install, and then it's gonna install itself. Alright, so DHCP is now installed on our first server here, so we're gonna click complete DHCP configuration. Hit next. Use the following credentials. Hit next. Whoops. Commit. And close. And close. Alright, so DHCP is now active on our server, so we're gonna want to configure it. So go to DHCP manager. And here's our DHCP server at home. So IP4 server options. We're gonna set up a new configure the options. No, we're gonna set up a new scope. So hit next. So the name of the scope is gonna be just IPs. Next. Start range 192.168.1.100. I'm gonna put 192.168.1.254. 192. Okay, hit next. Exclusion, we're not gonna do that right now. Hit next. Least delay 8 days, or least duration 8 days is good enough. Hit next. Yes, I want to configure DHCP with the scope right now. Yeah, hit next. The router default gateway is 192.168.1.1. Hit next. So the partner domain is going to be home.com. And our DNS servers is going to be 192.168.1.30 for now, and we will be adding another server later, but for now that's what it is. Okay, so hit next. And WIMS server, we don't have any, so hit next. Do you want to activate the scope now? Yes, hit next. You have completely configured the new scope. Hit finish. Perfect. So now when we click here, we can see our address pools, and we can see that it starts here, and our address leases. And right now there's no leases because we just started this pool. So we're gonna go into, now we're gonna have to turn off our DHCP server on our router. So we're gonna go to our router. Okay, so we're gonna navigate to our DHCP server right here, and I'm gonna untick this to disable it, and I'm gonna hit the save button down here. So now DHCP has been disabled on my pfSense. So now DHCP should be served from our Windows machine when any computer asks us for any type of IPs. So let's see what happens here. So I waited about 20 minutes now, and we can see that our DHCP server is starting to hand out some IPs. And there they are, some of them. So what I started doing is I started creating some reservations for our servers, And server 2 was currently offline, so I had turned it back on, and I created a reservation for that server for 192.168.1.3. So that server will always get that reservation. And I already created a reservation for my web server because I actually have the web server on my network right now running. So that one is running and this one is running, so we can see all the addresses that are being handed out right now. So there's not too many. There's my Galaxy phone and my home, Google Home, you know, and these addresses are just starting to populate, and there'll be more and more as things come on the network here. But this is the DHCP in Windows, so it's on RDC01. So yeah, I can close this DC01 and get started with more reservations. What we'd want to do before we really get moving on with too many reservations and stuff like that is we will want to set up our second node to start doing replication of DHCP and our Active Directory that we just installed. So the next video is going to be on our second node, doing the exact same thing that we just did on this first node, but linking them together actually. So yeah, so on to the next video. Make sure you add a reservation for your second node right away here. You need that done here. You need to make sure that your second node gets an IP from our new DHCP server that we just created. So I went ahead and actually oh yeah, I need to tell you guys this. You need to go onto your second node. Oh, right now it's got a weird IP, I think. Uh-oh. I can't log on to my second node right now because in the reservations it says that this this computer is being reserved for this IP, but it's actually been given out a different one right now, which it doesn't say in here either. But if I go check the computer right now, it's going to say that it has a different IP. But when I reset it, next time it's going to have this IP forever, that 1.3. But what you need to do is you need to go on your computer. Actually, I'm going to go reset it right now. Alright, so as you can see, I rebooted the second node and now it's actually logging on right away at 192.168.1.3 because of the reservations that we set up right here in our DHCP server on our first node. So there you go. And what I want to tell you is that for this to work, I did come in here and I changed our settings on our network card here back to automatic so that our server automatically gets an address. You'll see here from our DHCP server. See, now I turned it back on to automatic, so there's no more need to set it up automatically here because we have a reservation set up in our DHCP server, which gives these servers automatic address. But we haven't set up the first server yet because we're gonna set up replica on our second server, and then we'll be able to turn this first server off nice and easy, and our DHCP servers will stay up and everything, and when it comes back on, it'll automatically get the IP of 192.168.192, and we'll be able to change this to automatic so that the DNS is all automatically updated and all kept up to date and stuff. So that's it for the video today. So come back next time for the next video, and I'm gonna show you how to do the replication on the second server.